Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Griffiths, and it's my pleasure today to welcome you to this live event on behalf of Q Associates and Rubrik. The subject of today's webinar is Microsoft 365 Backup, and over the next 30 minutes or so, we'll be describing how Rubrik is simplifying the critical protection of data held within your Microsoft 365 environment. At Q Associates, we work with customers across commercial and public sector organizations to optimize the management of data. Over recent years, the protection of data held in SaaS environments has become a key priority, and today we will focus on the technology that Rubrik provides to eliminate the risk of data loss associated with Microsoft 365. I'm joined today by a team of experts from Rubrik: Rob Egley, Juliet McMullen, and Stu Davidson. We've opened the Q&A box on your screen, so if you have any specific questions during the presentation, please send them over and we will do our best to answer them as we go. So thank you for joining us, and I will now hand over to Rob to take us through the next part of the presentation.
Thanks, Andy, and good morning all. I'm Rob Egley, one of the Rubrik territory managers, and I'm joined by Juliet, a Rubrik systems engineer, who will help run the session today. In today's session, we will cover a high-level overview of Rubrik's Office 365 application. The session will last around 25 minutes and will follow the below agenda. Why do we need to back up Office 365? The features that make up Rubrik's Office 365 offering, a deep dive into the Rubrik Polaris Office 365 application with a live demo from Juliet, and then we'll summarise and go through any next steps that we have. Before going too much further, I just want to reiterate what Andy said. Stu will be manning the chat window, so please feel free to submit any questions throughout the session that we're running. So why do we need to back up Office 365? Microsoft does not provide any native backup capability with the Office 365 solution, and Microsoft actually recommends that customers regularly back up their data using third-party apps and services, and that customers are always responsible for their own data, as can be seen on the slide from the service agreement statement at the top from Microsoft. Therefore, any decision to not back up your Office 365 data should be based upon your appetite for risk. If you decide not to protect your Office 365 data, there is a risk of unrecoverable data loss, be that in email, OneDrive, or SharePoint data. If you decide to protect your Office 365 data, then you are guaranteed of having a backup copy of your Office 365 data stored outside of the Office 365 platform that you can rely on to quickly recover data if and when the need arises. So what does Microsoft Office 365 provide? As you can see on the bottom of the slide, it has high availability. The Office 365 infrastructure itself is indeed robust, with multiple time offset replicas to secondary geographic locations. In terms of the actual infrastructure Microsoft has, it covers it. However, Microsoft clearly states that point-in-time backup and restores are out of scope and are the customer's responsibility. They also offer Recycle Bin for short-term protection against user or admin error. If relying on the Recycle Bin, then someone has to know something has been deleted and notice if before the retention expires or the content is lost forever. If data resides within the production system, then it isn't classed as backup. The Recycle Bin retention policy is configurable by Office 365 admins. Exchange Online is retained deleted items configurable up to 14 to 30 days. OneDrive retains deleted items configurable up to 30 days, which counts against storage quota. SharePoint Online retains deleted items configurable up to 93 days, which also counts against storage quota. There's then litigation hold that Microsoft have. Placing all mailboxes on hold complicates legitimate legal discovery activities. If an organization has a defensible email deletion policy, then litigation hold route is probably not an option at all. They then have retention lock. This is a one-time setting. Once enabled, it can be undone and customers must pay for storage used. Think of it as worm, write once, read many. All Office 365 data will be retained. So as you can see, there is gaps identified, and there's certain scenarios where Office 365 backup is required. And I'm just going to list these out. Accidental or unnoticed deletion. virus infection, ransomware or data corruption, malicious insider or rogue admins, departing employees clear out their own mailboxes, legal or regulatory compliance, deleted users or mailboxes, and then to restore back to a point in time beyond any retention policy threshold that's set by organisation. So what does Rubrik do to mitigate these scenarios? Rubrik Polaris makes it radically simple to protect and recover Office 365, from granular search to daily management. Built on an elastic SaaS platform, Rubrik's automated protection scales as you grow and gives users complete control over where data is stored. It takes a matter of minutes to set up. You simply authenticate your Azure account and Office 365 via OAuth to establish a secure connection. Rubrik automatically discovers all users and organizations, so you can begin assigning policies immediately. Additionally, all new users are automatically discovered when added to your Office 365 subscription. Rubrik eliminates manual time-consuming job scheduling. You can assign data management policies with one SLA policy engine. SLA policies can be applied to the entire Office 365 subscription or the individual end users. All users created and default folders in mailboxes within that organization are automatically protected. In the event of data loss, whether accidental or malicious, you can quickly browse through point-in-time snapshots and restore an entire mailbox or calendar or individual folders and items. You can choose to restore to the original location or export to another user's mailbox or calendar. Rubrik delivers immediate access with item-level search, allowing you to search by email address, date range, and keywords from subject line or event titles. Rubrik provides role-based access control to designate granular user permissions over data access. One of the unique features to our offering is the fact that the application is cloud native using Azure Compute. This is great for data sovereignty, as all your data remains in your Azure subscription where you have complete control. I'm now going to pass over to Juliet to show some of these features in action using the Rubrik Polaris SaaS platform. So can I pass over to you, Juliet, to run through the demo?
Okay, so here I'm logged into the Rubrik Polaris system, and that's where you would access your Office 365 protection, as Rob said. If I just pass over here into inventory, you'll see that your Office 365 account shows up there. And before I dive into the demo, I thought I'd just sort of go through a quick high level of why we think our Office 365 protection works well for customers. And quite simply, the key part of that is the simplicity. It drastically simplifies how organizations protect their Office 365 environment, and probably more importantly, you can implement it very quickly within half an hour, 8 or 9 steps. Operational ease, there's no infrastructure or applications to manage or upgrade. There's little or no training required. Granular search, you've got you can search for and recover individual items and entire mailboxes very quickly, which obviously brings down those RTOs. On top of that, it's fast because of the fact that backup and restore is quick for your Office 365 mailbox, and it's incremental forever backup technology sitting behind it. Another key tenet really for us is the security aspect. The data always resides in your Azure subscription. You retain ownership, as Rob said, and everything is encrypted end to end. On top of that, we've got the role-based access control, so you can control who in your organization can do operations on your Office 365 environment. Another key feature is the scalability. We use elastic cloud compute, so there's no bottlenecks down the road as your Office 365 footprint grows. Cost efficiency is another key feature for us. The solution's been architected for the cloud to use elastic compute to minimize costs compared with other traditional or legacy approaches to backing up your Office 365 data. Finally, it's a simple licensing model. We only license active users. When mailboxes are deleted, for example, if somebody leaves or moves, the license is available for reuse after 31 days, but the data is always still protected. So with that, I'll show you a little bit about how it works. as we've said, to access your Office 365 protection within Rubrik, you simply point your browser to the URL for the Rubrik Polaris solution, where you'll have a unique single sign-on login. It's all SaaS-based. We auto push updates every 2 weeks, so it's always up to date. If there's any new functionality that comes down the line, you literally would just click on it and off you go. There's no relicensing or having to download any new features. So as I've shown you, select the inventory tab here. Shows you your Office 365 subscriptions. There's only one here. If you had more than one connected up, that would be viewable from here as well. And if we just dive into it, in order to add new Azure tenants, you would just use this add subscription button, which I won't go through here, but it just goes through the setup via the standard Azure OAuth functionality. And as we've said, it literally takes half an hour or an hour to get yourself connected up and protected under Rubrik for Office 365. Now, if you've been on any of our previous talks, you'll know that Rubrik sets up backup protection using the concept of SLA policy domains. And very simply, all that means is that rather than having to set up individual backup jobs and backup schedules, we use one protection SLA, one or a few, and then you can then just apply those to your workload. So here, if I show you here, we can assign it at the whole mailbox level for mail, and this will bring up all the SLA policies that the system has already pre-configured. And if you just mouse over them, you get a little summary of what that would be doing for you in terms of protection. Excuse me. And you can simply just select the one that you need, or indeed create a new one. And as I said, you can apply that at the mailbox level, but equally, if we delve down into excuse me, if we delve down into the individual users, you can add different SLAs to different individuals or even groups of users, and that's where you see the difference here between direct and derived protection. But the key point is that even if you do nothing in terms of individual users and individual mailboxes, they're all going to auto inherit the basic protection which you've given to this Office 365 Azure subscription. Now, if we drill down into a user, you'll see that you can see all the users in that Azure subscription, and if we just select one, it brings up a calendar viewpoint, a sort of card of that particular mailbox within Office 365, which, if any of you have seen our cloud data management product, will be very familiar to you. You've got various sort of filters here on the left, and you've got a global search functionality here on the right. And what this calendar view is telling you very simply is that all these little green blobs here are where this mailbox has been protected under whatever SLA policy has been applied to that user. So if we have a look doing a recovery, because obviously that's the key thing for most people in terms of making sure that your users are protected. One of the sort of common things you might be doing, there's typically two kinds of recovery scenarios, but probably the key one is to recover a mailbox to a certain point in time by looking through it for certain inboxes or emails. So if I maybe choose a particular point in time, most people are going to be doing the most recent backup, but say you want to go further back before you suspect that there's been anomalous activity on that account, you can go back as far as you need to, and then you'll see that you get some recovery options for that mailbox. And if we just click on recovery options, you can do it at the mailbox level. So you could just say, for this user, something terrible's happened in his mailbox, or maybe he's left the organization and you want to restore back to a certain point, you can just restore the whole mailbox. But equally, you can delve down right into his folder structure, maybe just restore the inbox, or even search for particular mail items that user might want back. So you can just select one or a few individual emails, or do it further up at the folder level. And then once I've decided on what I need to restore back to that user, I would just click click through, and again you would get a very familiar kind of looking interface if you use our cloud data management product, and you get the choice either to restore it back to the original user's mailbox, or equally restore it to any other user within that Azure subscription. So that's quite useful for things like, perhaps you want to send something to somebody in HR, or send an email to a compliance person to have a look at, and you can just simply search through and find whatever user within that subscription you'd like to send it back to. So that's the sort of, restoring an inbox back to a certain point in time. Equally, what can be very powerful is searching for particular items within a mailbox to restore. So if you know that your user is looking for a particular email or particular thing that somebody sent them, you can search either on the email address that you're looking for or on the subject. So if I just try something like this, you'll see that I'm searching through all the mailboxes, all the emails within that mailbox, and I can find any emails that bring up a small amount of that search functionality. And again, I can select one or many of those emails to restore from that point in time back to the person's inbox. Now, when we do the restores, what we do is rather than because obviously you're restoring it back to the inbox, but we want the user to be able to find the restored data quite quickly. So rather than restoring it directly back in place, what we do is restore to a time-stamped folder sitting within their mailbox, with the date and timestamp of the point in time where we did the recovery from. And that was a decision made simply just to make it easier for users to know that their data's been restored, and also to find that restored data. And then of course they can go in there and move it to their inbox or wherever they need to move it. So that shows you really the simplicity of protecting mailboxes under Rubrik for Office 365 Mail, and also how we would do very granular and very simple restores. That's pretty much all there is to it. If I take you into the monitoring and reporting side, if we go into events here, what is also very useful is that you get a very granular audit log of who's been doing what, and whether anybody's restored anything or moved anything within your Office 365 Mail environment, and that's obviously helpful for things like compliance. And equally, if we go into the audit log here, you can see exactly who's done what. You can see here's the email that I searched for. You can even see if anybody's been searching for particular subject lines or anything like that. And as I think Rob mentioned, we've got role-based access controls, so you can really tie down who has access to which mail subscriptions, and also to which individual mailboxes. And really, that's pretty much it for Office 365 protection on the Polaris SaaS platform. It's very simple, very intuitive, and designed to be easy to manage and pick up. Very little training required. And as I mentioned, any new functions and features that are released will literally just show up on your Polaris access. And with that, I'll hand back to Rob.
So Juliet, there's just one question that's come in from Jerry Allen around. Yep. Are the plans to extend to AWS? So you just want to cover off what we do around sort of AWS?
By that, I'm assuming that he's asking whether the capability will be there to back up Office 365 data out of Azure into AWS.
Yes,
and if
correct.
That's the case, that's it's on the roadmap. It's an RFE within our engineering team, and it's definitely on the roadmap. And I think the last time I looked into that, they were saying that would be implemented early next year, but it's not currently possible at the moment. Everything stays within your Azure tenancy.
Okay, thank you. Lucy, you're okay to pass over to me? So I hope you can all see my screen again. So thanks for that, Juliet. And at Rubrik, we're finding more and more of our customers are interested in Office 365 for protection due to the rapid increase in usage throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an unknown area for a lot of our customers, and is the first time they will have implemented a solution like this. So if you have liked what you see and you'd like to find out a little bit more, please do get in contact with ourselves at Rubrik, or your contact at Q Associates, who we work very closely with. and we can pick up further conversations and set up POCs and also walk you through the technology in a little bit more detail. So yeah, that's for us finished. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll pass over to Andy to wrap up.
Thank you, Rob, and also thank you there to Juliet for the demonstration of those key features, and also Stu as well for looking after the question box. Thank you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the event this morning and gained some additional insight into the importance of protecting data held within your 365 environment. Q Associates operates as a Microsoft Gold partner, and we're also very proud to be recognised by Rubrik as the UK's leading technical and support services specialist. So, as Rob said, if you would like to discuss this topic further in relation to your specific environment, do please get in touch either via your usual Q Associates contact or through the email address that you can see there on the screen. That's rubrik@qassociates.co.uk. This event has been recorded and will be posted on the Q Associates website and YouTube channel shortly. So it just remains for me to thank you very much for joining today's event. I do hope you found it valuable, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.